An affordable world-ready smartwatch. Let's check it out. Dave Taylor here, and I'm checking out this. This is the MorePro HM03 Smartwatch. It is pretty slick, actually. As you can see here, it has a big, bright screen. In fact, it's a 1.3-inch 360 by 360 AMOLED screen. So it is bright. It is a cheery screen with lots of stuff going on. It's behaving a little weird because it's not on my wrist, but suffice to say that especially when it's dark out, this thing just pops. It's big and bright and colorful. And what's most notable about it is it works with all three of the major GPS satellite systems around the world. So if you're in the United States, then you're using GPS. If you're in Asia, you're using Baidu. And if you're in the Soviet Union, you're using GLONA satellite systems, or GLONA SS, right? It works with all three. In fact, it can actually pick up the correct time off the satellite signal. So not only can it track you, not only can it help you figure out how to get back. If you're on a long hike, it'll track where you've been and help you reverse the route. But it also can show all that on a map. Now, of course, like all these other devices, a smartwatch pairs with your phone. And this one works with both iPhones and with Android phones. It uses an app called InfoWare. I'm going to demonstrate that in just a moment. But I want to tell you the battery life is ridiculous on this. It's at least a week, if not 2 weeks on a charge. And when you're ready to charge it, it does have this little cradle. Not a massive fan of these, but easy enough. You just put the watch on the cradle and then you plug it into your computer, you plug it into a wall charger, whatever you want. And when it's done charging, it will actually show you 100%, and you're good for a couple of weeks. Not a couple of hours, not 24 hours like an Apple Watch or something, but a couple of weeks. Now, again, I will say, if you lose this, you've got a bit of a problem. So it might be worth acquiring a second one and storing it somewhere just in case, because that would be a drag. But otherwise, 300 milliamp hour battery definitely gives it a long life cycle. Bluetooth 5.1, it has oxygen sensor tracking, it has a heart rate monitor. You can turn those on to run for 24 hours at a time, so you can collect data across a workout, across a hike. It has sleep monitoring, and it can differentiate between deep sleep, light sleep, and when you're awake, so you can let it collect data for a couple of weeks and then go into the app, it's a little easier to read, and just see, how have I been sleeping? How's that all working for me? In terms of rugged durability, it is completely waterproof with IP68 rating, and they've tested it from -4 degrees Fahrenheit to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're in either of those temperature extremes, you have other issues, like your own personal health, but this thing definitely can handle having you fall into ice water because you're doing the polar bear plunge in the middle of winter, or if you're out and you're at Death Valley in the mid-afternoon in the middle of the summer. Again, in both situations, be careful about your own health, but has all of that, and it also has all sorts of activities you can monitor, including the standard ones like running, walking, cycling, basketball, and such. But it also has some unusual sports, which are kind of fun too, including table tennis, cricket, and badminton. Now, I don't play cricket very often, but it's good to know if I do, I can track my activity with this watch. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on, and the watch strap is super easy to work with. It's sort of a rubberized material with a lot of holes, so you just go ahead and line up to make it comfortable. You don't want it too tight, but you also don't want it too loose. And then there's two little bands you can use to make sure that the strap isn't then sticking out. Can be a little tricky to get it adjusted just so, but let's see. There we go. And let's see, it has notifications, it has an alarm clock, it has timers in terms of dimensions. It's 51 millimeters across, so it's going to look good even on a big wrist. And it's 13 millimeters thick, so it's fairly thick as smartwatches go, but not horrible. If you have a very petite wrist, this might not be the watch for you unless you like that fashion of really big watches. But I don't know if you've been able to tell, but I've gotten all these notifications keep lighting up the watch as I'm sitting here talking to you about it. So let's go ahead and I'm going to switch the camera around and I'm going to give you a demo where you'll be able to see the app running, and you'll also be able to see what's happening on the watch. And I'll also be able to show you how to change watch faces. So let's get that all set up. So here's the app and here's the watch. So let's start by going to the dial center, and you can see I can switch faces that easily. And now if we go back to the watch, it has the new dial. So let's do it again, this time with the watch awake. And you can see it stores and remembers these 4 faces, which makes it super easy to work with. And then there's this huge directory of all these different faces. So you can go and look into a category and pick a watch face that you like as soon as it loads. So you can see all these different options. Let's try this one, horrifying time, and let's do that in this color. And then we're going to synchronize it, and you'll see the watch face will show its side of the transfer. And it takes a couple of seconds because there's actually all this information being sent. And then once it's transferred, then what'll happen is that the watch will actually reconfigure itself, and in a moment or two, we will get the new watch face. There we go, and there it is. And that is pretty fun, actually, as watch faces go. Now, let me go back, and we can go and you can see things like some of the settings. So you can change like raise to wake behavior, and there's more settings. There's a lot of things you can do. And go into notification settings, and this is kind of interesting because a lot of these are apps I don't have, but you can turn on and off. If you decide that the last thing you need are all these notifications from Twitter, turn them off. Easy enough. Let's see, what else? Weather settings. You can go into the health area, and you can see I've taken 1,089 steps so far this morning, and I haven't done any blood oxygen stuff. I can check, you set up your own profile with all your goals for how many steps you want to take and such. Really pretty easy. So let me now just get a little closer on just the watch itself, and I'll show you some of how the watch itself works. As with so many of these, different swipes do different things. These are my notifications, and I can scroll through them, or I can push this to go home. If I swipe from the bottom, then I get these various functions. I can even go to more settings, and I can change watch faces directly from the watch. So I might say, you know what, let's do that one. So now I've just switched it. It's that easy. From the right, you then get into this sort of sequence of different information. So this includes the ability to control music on your device. Here's my data so far. So I've burned 47 calories with that 1,089 steps, and I've had 3 of 12 hours standing. And here's the time again. So pretty straightforward. If I click on menu, I get a different way to look at the different things. And I can decide that I want to go ahead and try my heart rate or something. I can also go to activity or workout, but I can also do that with the shortcut of sport. Right, let's go home, let's go to sport. And now I can pick an activity. So maybe I'm poised to play some soccer. And it immediately says, well, there's an issue because you don't actually have it on your wrist. So it knows that, and that's why it gave me that error. But you can see there's a lot of options. And again, if I go to the menu, I can do activity and see there's some GPS features, as I talked about. There's a lot to like about this watch, and most importantly, it's just a big, bright, cheery screen. Now, let me jump back on camera. pretty slick actually. You know, I think the trade-off here is that on the Apple Watch, the entire watch experience is a little smoother in terms of secondary screen formatting and such, but this honestly has more enjoyable watch faces. I love the big, bright, bold watch faces of this sort of category of smartwatch, and I really would challenge Apple. Let's see more watch faces. Let's see a third-party watch face library or something, right? It's not what they're going to do probably, but these guys have a lot of faces and it's really fun to play with them and to pick different ones for different times, right? So there's the full demo. I really like this. I love this big bright screen. It's really a standout. And so the only thing left to talk about is the price. But before we get to the price, I'm going to ask if you could subscribe to my channel. A click or a tap on that subscribe button and turn on notifications, and we're connected. Awesome. Cool. This, go ahead and turn that on again, is the MorePro HM03 Smartwatch. Comes in black or off-white or blue. They're really cool colors actually. And it's $89.99 at more-pro.com. And I would say if you're looking for a smartwatch and you don't want to go spend $300, $400, $500 on a super fancy one, this is a really interesting middle ground and one that's definitely worth checking out. So that's all I got. I'm going to go ahead and put it back on my wrist. So I will have to catch you. Oh, let me get that through there. I will have to catch you in my next video.